Hey guys, Shane with Dazzy Integrations again, back for another edition of Give It To Me Straight. And today we're going to get kind of deep into it and go through a discussion around net neutrality. You may or may not have heard this term being thrown around. It's been discussed in the news and quite a bit over the last 6 months to a year. And basically it is the policies and proposed regulations in which the federal government would be able to take control over the internet and the bandwidth and the access to those. The intent there is merely to make sure that larger organizations don't get an unfair advantage over smaller organizations in terms of access to online content. That's very, very important if you're a small business, simply because you don't want to be fighting against a big retail organization. If you're a mom and pop hardware shop, and you want to make sure that your information, your website, your blog post, your videos, everything that you have that you're putting online, that your end users have just as much and just as fast of an access to your content than your larger competitors. Very good thing and very good intentions around that to make sure that it's a fair, competitive environment for access across the internet. However, one of the challenging aspects with the net neutrality regulations is that it does not take into consideration quality of service. Or it does, but it doesn't give at least a forward-looking approach to it, in our opinion, at least in mine. So quality of service becomes increasingly critical when you're using voice or video or other types of applications that are very, very sensitive to latency, meaning you can't have a long time from the time that you send the packet to the time that it's received and responded to. Technical information there that's just basically meaning you can't have a lot of time that you're waiting on response. So with voice, we've probably all been on some of those calls where it kind of sounds like a cell phone call. You get talk, you can't really make out what the folks are saying, and it sounds like you're dropping part of it because you actually are. Because voice and video are so sensitive to latency, as that is transmitted, if it gets sent back out of sequence or late, those packets are dropped and you get a choppy call. Why that's important as it relates to net neutrality is we can control those aspects inside a corporate network or an internal network by establishing quality of service. What that allows you to do is when you start making a voice call and it goes across your network, you can say make sure that any voice traffic that's on my network gets absolute priority over anything else. That's really, really important, especially if you have a computer that, say, gets a virus and starts blasting out and consuming all of the bandwidth that you have on the network. Well, with quality of service, you can say, okay, this machine over here that is blasting and consuming as much bandwidth as we'll give it doesn't get priority over the voice. There's a voice call going on, so that's great that this virus wants to send this out, but we're going to make sure that the voice call takes priority and it gets there before anything else. Now, for us to do that across the internet requires quality of service that's deployed and accepted by all carriers. It's something that those of us that have been working in the voice world for years have been hoping that at some point we would get to, because as it stands today, the internet is just a wide, it's kind of like the wild, wild west. Once your traffic goes out on the internet, you're just at the mercy of the pipe that it's on and whatever traffic that's running through it. We hope that at some point there will be quality of service standards that are implemented across the organization so that when you're making a voice call, your carrier and the end user's carriers all say, yes, we agree that that's more important than the YouTube video you're streaming or the virus that's going out. So why do you need to be concerned about that? Why does it matter with net neutrality? With the net neutrality regulations that are currently proposed, there is no consideration for that. So that means that there is going to be no further exploration based upon the way it stands right now. What we would hope to attain at some point is basically a service quality guarantee as opposed to user quality. That just means that while we don't want to have organizations that get priority and take traffic and get more traffic or easier bandwidth, we do want to make sure that applications get more bandwidth. So just be aware of net neutrality and what it means. It's a good thing to make sure that your small business has access to bandwidth and to the internet, but it's also going to hinder the ability to deploy quality of service internet-wide without some additional constraints put in there. So as you're talking about that, just be aware of those things because it will have impacts both positive and negative for your business going forward. I know this was kind of a complex topic today, but it's something that's really relevant since it was just in the news earlier that it had been confirmed that they were moving forward with those regulations. So just be aware of it. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you the next time on Give It To Me Straight.